Welcome to the Winning in Business podcast. I'm your host, Kelly Rissy, and I love talking to business professionals, leaders, and entrepreneurs who are winning in business. Are you ready to reach your next level of success? If so, join us on the Winning in Business podcast as I interview entrepreneurs, business professionals, and leaders who share how they've risen to success. Before we begin, go ahead, hit subscribe and the notification button so you'll be notified each time a new episode is released. Plug in and settle in. You're about to be inspired to rise up to your next level of success. Welcome back to another episode of Winning in Business. And today I am here with Celia Faye Meisel, and we have known each other for a little while, and I'm so excited for her just to bring her knowledge and all that she knows, and as well as her success onto the podcast today. So Celia, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Kelly.
Yeah. All right. Let me share a little bit about you to prepare our listeners here. So Celia Meisel is a sales growth consultant for mission-driven, multi-6 and 7-figure online business owners. She is a career entrepreneur with over 20 years experience as a trainer, mentor, and coach. Her 5-step MORE method helps her clients to have more money, more sales with ease, more simplicity, more sales freedom, and more growth in their businesses. Woo! I think we all want that as business owners. Celia's clients have generated over 12.6 million in high-end programs in the last few years. So congratulations to you and your clients for that success. So let's dig in. So first, let's just start with, how did you get into doing what you're doing? You said you've been an entrepreneur for 20 years. So kind of share your journey with us.
Yeah. I mean, I started as a kid, like babysitting, making money, finding different ways to make money. And I actually started my first little business when I was in high school. It was doing music lessons. And really, it just happened. I played my saxophone in church on Sundays, and people started approaching me. Hey, will you teach my kid? And so in high school, I was able to buy my first cell phone and like start to have independence because I had my own money. And so that was really how I took the approach from that point on, is just finding ways to make money and be independent. And so in 2008, I finished with my master's degree, and I started my first business officially with a music performance in lesson studio. And so I taught children and conducted choirs and gigged all over the Milwaukee area from 2008 to 2016. And in between there, I had a health crisis thing that happened. And it really made me question my life and what I was doing, who I was being, and really helped me to get clear on some things that I wanted in my life. And so that happened in 2013. And so I started to pivot over a period of years until I found my way into coaching, and actually went full-time in my coaching business the summer of 2016 and closed the music business down altogether. So that's the long story short. And then in getting into the coaching industry, really started to explore what I could do, who I could help, how I could serve. So I really started with small business owners, kind of doing life purpose coaching with business coaching combined, because I had so many years of business experience, and people just kept asking me business questions. And so it was just natural for me to do that. And then over time really started to hone in, I really have a gift for sales. I have a knack for sales. And so started to pursue that more as a niche or a focus. And I started focusing on that like 2017, 2018. And then here I am today. And, this, quote unquote sales expert, which I would have never imagined that I would be. So that's how I got here.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, what I gather from this is that you were really just open to opportunities that came to you, and were really able to just see the shift and how to shift and what you were good at to really serve the people that were coming to you. So that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and really kind of just following my instinct, and I think that'll be kind of a theme today on our in our conversation. But just like, yeah, seeing what's coming to me, and then also what I'm excited about. Where like what lights me up, what doesn't. It's funny because when I got into my coaching, like doing like more business coaching at the beginning, life purpose / business, there were two trends that I was seeing. One was people asking me about like, how do I make more money? And how do I do this, this, and this? And then I had other more business related. And then I had people coming to me about relationship issues. Oh, this person, she cheated on me, or he broke up with me, or, I wanted to be in a relationship with this person, but they chose somebody else over me. And I was like, like not, don't want it. And so I felt like I had these two very clear directions, and I knew I want to go the business route. I don't want to be a relationship coach.
That's so interesting because good for you for trusting that instinct. And I feel like, my listeners always know that one of the first questions I ask are, what are some ahas you want to share that have contributed to your success?
Yeah.
Right. So this right here is huge, following your instinct. And do you feel like it was because you had been in business for so long that your previous business, that you didn't feel the need like you had to coach everyone? Because I feel like that sometimes gets in the way of people doing what they really want, is because they're like, wait, I have to service everyone, which we know that is not helpful, and it's not helpful for anyone, the clients, for us, whatever. So can you just share a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I would say for this specific instance, it was more about me feeling like there were still a lot of things in my relationships and in my life that I was still working on, that I didn't have the embodiment to be a great relationship coach. So maybe I could have, but that's just where it was for me, where I felt like I'm comfortable with business. I'm confident to talk about business. And look, I have sold music lessons. I have sold sound healing. Like I can make money. It wasn't about making money. Like I can literally like make money at whatever I want to do, but it was just more about like, where is my heart calling me? And I would have never thought like business, but when I really looked at all of my experience, and I even looked at my music studio, was like, well, what is the thing I love the most about it? It was actually the business side of things. And so it's just really kind of doing that inventory. And then from there, it was like, yeah, I kind of had a wide market, because I was like, I could work with people that were in MLMs, or, so I did kind of serve, not everybody, but a lot of different people at the beginning to really find my way. But yeah, like being in two distinct different niches like that, it would have been too difficult, I think.
Yeah. So share more a little bit just about like, how do you work with your clients specifically? So you narrowed your niche down.
Yeah.
And how do you specifically work with them now?
Yeah.
And you said you're working with 6 and 7 figure.
Yeah. My clients, are 6 to 6, multi 6 and 7 figure, primarily the latter two. So really in two distinct ways. So primarily I work with clients where they come to me and they have, they're doing sales in their businesses. They are either on the sales calls themselves, or they have a team, or they're just starting to get ready to outsource their teams. My 7-figure business owners usually already have some sort of sales team in place, but there's some journey of like them wanting to get off the sales calls, or just have like a more simplified, higher converting sales process. And so that's essentially what we work on. So you had mentioned my methodology called the MORE method. And so it is a 5-step, it's got many steps inside of it, but really like a 5-step system that I work with clients on, really starting from their CEO kind of mindset and who they're being and how that's affecting their sales and their marketing, and then how that trickles into their leadership, and, goes up from there into their team and their sales processes and sales operations, all the way to launches and events. So I'll work with clients that, they're doing inside sales, or what we'll call like rolling enrollment. They're always sort of like selling new people into their offers, but then they may want to do a launch, or they may do events to get a big pop of sales. So I work in that regard. And then I have partners that I work with where we will work specifically on the event side only. That's usually for 7-figure businesses. But those aren't the clients that I really go for and target. They just kind of find me.
Mhm.
So, but that's how I work with clients today, is really like helping them to free up themselves from the sales process and reach higher conversion rates.
And you know what I love, just from my background, right, is the fact that you said we start with
Yes.
the CEO mindset.
Yep.
Right? I feel like there are so many business owners out there looking at the external, right?
Yep.
Which you get to the external, but to
Yep.
get to the external, you have got to work on the internal first, because
Amen.
when you fix the internal, then the external becomes so much easier.
Yeah.
Right? Like you're
Yes.
not fighting against I don't know, a brick wall, if you will.
Yes, it's so true. And, mindset and also thought, because I think our thoughts, what we're thinking and where we have blind spots are really creating our businesses. And I have been, come in really on the tactical side, even with the more method with clients where we're just all tactic.
Mhm.
And that doesn't get to the root cause, especially when it's like, okay, this part of my system addresses this area of your business, but you're literally like recreating the same problem 8 or 9 times in the last 6 months. It's all up here. And so bringing in the mindset piece has been a huge shift, because now we can just start there with my client and say, hey, what's going on? What are you thinking?
Mhm.
Where are you thinking? I can even see what they put in Slack messages. Okay, you
Yes.
keep saying this, and this.
Right.
Let's address that. And then helping them to get really clear on, like, what is their vision? What are they setting their sights on? And let's go for that, because like there's so many distractions in today's
Yes.
day and age too, right? So yeah,
Right.
the
Yeah.
mindset piece and the thinking and how you're showing up for yourself and for your business and your team, just it really shapes everything in your company.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So with that, tell us more just ahas that you want to share that have
Yeah.
really made you successful along the way.
Yeah. So, well, that kind of goes with what I was talking about. So the first thing is really setting your sights on like where you're headed and what you're creating. So I think of any time I've created a big leap, a big leap in my business, it was that I was really focused, and I may not have known like all of the pieces and everything that went into it, but I had a clear a compass or a direction that I wanted to go in. And that's like, that starts with me changing careers, of knowing, okay, I have this music business and it's been great, but I am working 7 days a week. My cap is $4,000 a month, and there are no more hours in the day. I would literally be working. I would work in the mornings. I would work in the afternoons. I would work at night. I worked on Sundays. I worked Saturday. I mean, like just constant. And I burnt out. And that's part of the reason I had my health stuff going on. So I was like, I want to make more money. I want to work less. I want to be more fulfilled. I want to work with more adults instead of kids. And so I was clear about that. And then coaching found me, and I found coaching. So like setting my sights on, and then usually that next level, like when I wanted to make an income up level at the pandemic, that's when events came into my life, and I started training teams and working with sales teams. And so now I'm at a phase where it's more about like really honing in on my ideal client and my offer and like what I want my next level business to look like, because it's gotten me here. And now I'm like, okay, we're on the next level. So like setting your sights and really taking time to clarify. You don't have to know all the details, but spend time with it every day, really clarifying your picture of what you want things to look like. And when you feel yourself saying a no, or you catch your inner dialogue of a negative inner talk, right? Like, oh, that's not working, or oh, I don't like that. Really listen to that and start to clarify what you do want, so you can bring it into your picture, because what you're thinking every day is creating your life and your
Yes.
reality and your
Yes.
business.
Right. Yes. I always say where your focus goes, your energy flows. So when you're
Exactly.
focusing on the negative, you're going to get more negative.
Yeah,
And when you're
exactly.
focusing on the positive and the vision, right? Like the
Yeah.
vision that you wanted to create, then that's going to come into your life. And I think when you're doing that, it also just allows more opportunities to come in, because
Yeah.
you're focused on where you want to go. And,
Yeah.
for you, did you, did you ever worry about the outcome, or was it just, this is what I want, and however it comes to me, it comes to me?
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? Like, were you attached to a specific outcome, or did you kind of let go of control of that, and really just know what your vision is, and however you get there, you get there?
That's a great question. So I think that at this point, I am focused more on outcomes. I think at the beginning, when I was starting to do this, it was more like, I don't really know. I'm stepping into uncharted territory. So let's see. And then when we get there, we can kind of figure it out. So I didn't really want to micromanage the vision and the process. And so I think that I would just kind of attract things in and then kind of figure it out from there. And I would say now I'm at a place where I am a little bit more outcome focused, but that's just because my ability to really like cast a vision and see all the steps has just evolved that much more, right? For me to really like clarify what it is. And also that it's not like a one and done process. It's like, it's a relationship, it's iterative, right? So like every day, I'm clarifying and I'm like, okay, like I've been here. And so there's that constant evaluation that's going into it as well.
Oh, I love that. I feel like that's just another big aha, right? For you, like of how it's the constant evaluation.
Yes.
Which is really important and what leads us to greater success.
Yes. Absolutely.
Okay. What else? What other tips do you have for the listeners?
Yes. So another piece that I would say is to like trust your instinct and where you're feeling guided to. We all have very natural ways that success and money and business growth come effortless to us. Like really, like you can call it what you want, but there are things that they just come naturally to us. And then what happens sometimes is we align with coaches that they have their things that come naturally to them. And then they coach us on the things that come naturally to them and maybe coach us out of the things that come naturally to us. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes.
And so if you ever find yourself where you're not, you're working with a coach or you're doing things and it's not really creating the abundance and the results that you think it should, really look at like, where am I maybe going against myself, or where am I not using my natural gifts and abilities to create success because I'm trusting somebody else's message or vision for them, like what they're trying to coach me to do. And I think that that's one of the most important things, because we all have unique ways. And there are some coaches out there, like I'm very, with my approach, like I have my system, I have my method, but it's all very customized. I'm always asking, well, what aligns with you and what's right for you? And, because some people are like, just tell me, I don't want to think.
Right.
And it's like, sure, but like, then you're going to just be this like replica of me. And I want you to be you and have your values and your stuff in your business. So you just want to be aware of that, because that can help you to get back on track. And I'll give an example. I am so good with like connecting and networking and just being with people. Like when I'm with people and I get to talk about what I do or engage or connect, like I just naturally get clients. And so if I work with a coach who's like, don't network, that's a waste of time. Don't do this, don't do that. Like that takes me out of my essence of like what comes really, really naturally to me. So that's an example of how that's unfolded in my life.
Yes, that makes sense. And, I'm sure when you were talking about mindset and everything that, something that I have my clients do, right, is really like check in with your body. Your body knows everything.
Yeah.
And, I feel like you said, right, people just want the done for you, like do it this way. Same thing. And I feel like it's the exact same thing in the losing weight world, right?
Yeah.
Just tell me what to eat and I'll do it.
Yeah.
And then you just become this head on top of a body.
Yeah.
And you really stop and check in with yourself. Then you can trust your intuition. And sometimes I think if people haven't checked really trusted their intuition in a while, or one time their intuition led them off, which means that they feel like, I can't trust it anymore. It's a muscle.
Yeah.
And you have to practice it, right? Practicing it. And it sounds like you are amazing at trusting your intuition.
Yes. Yes. And it's great that you bring up the weight loss example, because I've lost close to 50 pounds. I'm kind of like in the 45 to 50 pound range in the last couple of years. And the whole program was about listening and emotions. And there was no diet plans. There were no no rules, no calorie counting, nothing like that. It was all like, how does the food feel in my body? And I just made some big changes because of that. And I was able to lose the weight. And so that was a key part of like, how does it feel in my body? And so doing that check-in. And then sometimes we also don't, when it comes to our businesses, we don't want to use that as an escape to not, an out to not do something either, because like when we're bumping up against our fear or risk, right? When we're bumping up against our threshold, sometimes we're like, oh, that's the universe telling me not to. And it's like, no, like when you know, and I think that's where that getting that really clear inventory of like, where am I being called? Like I might be listening to these books and getting all of these external messages that say, do something this way. But inside of me, it's very clear that like, this is the path for me. I'm going to honor like what I'm seeing inside for myself. So yeah.
I love that you said that and you brought up the fear, because I do think people need to understand there is a difference, right, between the resistance of this is going against the grain of what I truly believe, and that resistance because it's fear, right, and stepping out into the uncomfortable and something new, and really like being able to then discern the difference of that, like is this fear or is this I'm really going against myself? And I just think that is like, to me, the business owners that can do that and do it well are the super successful business owners.
Yeah. And the ones that are still kind of bumping up against that, oh, is fear telling me not to, that's a symptom of a greater mindset thing that's going on for them at that point too, right? Because like there's a lot of blind spots that they're not really able to see fully what is available to them. Because I think that what happens as we get to this point where we get so coached up that like the fear and what was like scary or what we were resistant to or whatever, it's like totally normal and whatever, and we just hit new levels of it. But I think that when we're on this, like kind of this openness and this open journey, we can receive guidance. Like I found this John Maxwell book at the bookstore the other day. It was all about like, it's called Failing Forward. And it's all these stories about people that failed and how like failure is part of being successful, but it's just how we see failure. And so we're able to kind of get resources and ideas and inspirations that guide us into like where we're headed when we're really open to that.
Oh, yes. I just love that. I really do love everything you stand for. So let me ask you this. And I ask every business owner this because I think it's important, right, for us to realize that no matter where we are on our journey, we're going to face some challenges.
Yeah.
So for you, what challenges or stressors do you face as a business owner?
So I would say the biggest thing is like, am I doing it right? Like, am I, I don't want to mess up. My time is precious. So it's mindset stuff. My time is precious. What if I waste my time? That's a big one. I don't want to waste my time. And so that would be one, or just like afraid of like going down the wrong path or whatever. And so kind of like, getting into perfectionism and, over analysis versus, taking action. I would say that that's one challenge I've dealt with in my career and in my business. And, what is another one? Oh, and the other thing is being super multi-talented, like really having a lot of gifts and then kind of like, okay, well, what do I do with all of this? How do I message it? So like when I shifted from being a coach to being a consultant, which was really, the shift was I'm going from working with startups to higher level business owners. That was because I still consider myself a coach. And so making that shift of like the mindset and how I show up and how I make offers. And like, I had to get coached to get that shift. Like and to bring all the gifts in as well. So, so for sure, I would say just being multi-talented and multi-gifted.
I'm curious for you, since you have such a musical background, how do you bring in creativity into your day-to-day? Because I find with people that I work with, they lack creativity. Like they're not allowing it into their life because they're like, I don't have time. I don't have time to do anything creative. You know what I mean? Because we're business owners and we have a whole list of things to do and everything. And yet being creative is all like, it's part of each of us. And it may have gotten stifled as a child somewhere or something, but we are truly creative beings. So how do you continue to bring creativity into your life every day?
Yeah, I would say that it's kind of the basis of my business. So there's two ways. I think one was that I built in, so I'm talking in the past, but I'll talk in the present too, was like, I kind of, because in music, like we're reading music and there's like, it's kind of like reading a book and you're like start to finish, very linear. But I also was a jazz musician. And so did a lot of improvising as well, which is like creative expression. So I have a very kind of linear approach where it's like, this is the beginning and this is the end. So I kind of bring in structure. And then I found I create structure for myself through systems and processes and all of that. And then that gives me the capacity for my creativity and my freedom. And so for me, I allow myself to journal. I have like a ton of different notebooks. They're categorized now, but I have notebooks where I can capture my ideas. And I just always make sure that I have something that I'm developing creatively inside of the business to feel that connection with. And so it's a matter of choice.
Yeah. I love the way that you talked about just how being a musician is linear, because there's a start to the song, you read it to the end. And the fact that you said that you play jazz, which is so much improvising and runs, you know, as a dancer, singer, you know, like I totally get that. And I love how you said the structure for you then allows for creativity to come in. Yeah, I think that's a big aha. Like that's a big aha for someone. It is. Like the structure can allow for creativity. Yeah. That's good. What are your goals for your business and for your life coming up, right? Like, so we're getting ready to enter the new year. It is, if you're listening to this to date, it is right after Thanksgiving. So what are your goals for you coming up?
Yeah. So 2024, I'm going to make a big income leap. So that's what I'm creating in. So going into my next level of income and revenue and doing that in a fun way. So I'm experimenting. I've got a couple different offers that I'm putting out there. Looking at going with some clients to do more of a partnership model where there's like a base and then they're paying me a percentage of their revenue and their new sales. So it's like a win-win kind of thing. And then I've got some other different offers, but I've got so much experience in all sorts of different types of online business models and enrollment models that I'm going to do some experimenting this year and have fun and play, because I think that I've in the past, I've kind of gotten locked in and focused on like, there's this one way and you do it this one way. And so, and I'm also, I've got some ideas that I'm not fully ready to share here, but some different plans and just kind of starting with that first next step, but just making it fun and also to connect with more people. That's a big thing for me is really like building in-person connections. I plan to do some more speaking and in-person workshops in 2024, some sales trainings and things like that. And so those are some of my goals.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Love it. Okay. What is an accomplishment that you're really proud of? I feel like we don't always stop and take time to brag on ourselves.
Yeah.
So take a minute and brag about yourself. What accomplishments are you really proud of?
Yeah, I'm proud of being a career entrepreneur, you know, quote unquote, serial entrepreneur. I'm proud of that because it has shaped me to develop, you know, real world, real life experience views that of like what worked for me, what didn't, what I've seen work for others, what didn't, versus like a book learning and a book knowledge. So it's like my success is very experiential and hands-on. And I'm proud that I've made it all of these years without ever having a corporate job and, all of the things that I weathered all these years. And I started my first business in the 2008 recession. So I've been through the recessions before and know what it's like. So I would say for sure that the success and all of that, just weathering all of the years. And I'm also proud that the businesses were formed on my inspiration of my mom and my great grandma. So my mom she had an MBA. She went and got her degrees later in life and she had a Mary Kay business. She was entrepreneurial, but just a very amazing woman in administration and working with high level people. And so I learned so much from her. And then my great grandma owned a nursing home. And I think about what it was like for her. She died at 102 and she was collecting rent checks. She had gotten into real estate, was collecting rent checks all the way until like the day before she passed away.
Wow.
And she, just watching her. So they were really like my business inspirations, to start the business, and just knowing like the spirit of the woman business owner is what inspired me to get started and what has carried me through today. So, being a woman in business it's just, if you're a woman in business, you know what it's like. It's
Right.
a whole different world to navigate. And so
Yeah.
I would say those are some of the things that I'm proud of.
That is really, I just love that. Like bringing in that inspiration from your mom and your grandma. That's fantastic. And it sounds like you very much have longevity in your family.
Yeah.
And, then I look at the whole fact of like, we have to take care of ourselves.
Yes.
As business owners, and how important that is, right? Because if we're not well, we can't sell, we can't impact the world in the ways we want to. And, you, I think, even experienced that firsthand when you talked about your burnout, of really then, for you, what other than getting out of your current business and what you were doing, and what other shifts did you really have to make this time around to not go back into burnout?
Yeah.
Right? Because you are a high level, high driven, very successful person. What keeps you out of burnout?
So there's a number of things. So I would say right now is nature, like getting out into nature and unplugging. My husband and I, we kayak, we hike a lot. Just really, taking care of my physical body and kind of knowing my limits too, of when I start to push and when it's time to back off. So I've learned to interpret my body and like its cues and signals to me, but definitely nature's a big one, unplugging. And then also just nutrition wise, I have a lot of foods that I don't eat, that I just don't even choose to engage with. And so that's been a big part. And also I've just recently gotten into Bikram heated yoga. And that's incredible. So always continuously just looking to improve. I go on walks every day. So just really, I would say prioritizing my body is really, really important. Otherwise, if we're just sitting on the computer all day and we're in our houses all day and we're not going anywhere, we're not exercising, we're not eating well, that's just a recipe for disaster.
Yes, I love that, prioritizing yourself. Right? And for you recognize that in your body and making sure you're moving your body, because I think it is like, as a business owner, you can get caught in the trap of everything comes before you. Your business comes before you, your family then comes before you. And we know, right? It goes back to the old saying, put your oxygen mask on yourself first so that you can serve others well. And, I love that you're doing that. And the biggest thing about, let's call it failure, right? So like, if you call burnout when you burned out before, right? You look at failure and you're like, no, I'm going to learn from this and I'm just going to have it be feedback. And now I know that I need to take care of myself better and really learn from that. And that's where we grow.
Yes, absolutely. And I think the other piece too that you'll resonate with is like the stress management piece of like, what's causing me stress, what's stressing me out. And I think that when I was talking about earlier that kind of like following my instinct and what is naturally works for me, that when I start to bump up against walls, it creates stress.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So then that stress is sort of like my barometer of like, okay, like something's going on here. Let's use the stress to help us point ourselves in that right direction.
Yes.
Versus like continually, beating ourselves up about it or beating our heads against the wall, but using it as a tool to help us. Because I think all of our challenges and obstacles, failure, stress, everything is there to help guide us back,
yes.
not to just keep us stuck.
Right. And I think so many people in that, since you brought up stress, I think there's a lot of people that are just, it's stress. It's part of life. We got to deal with it, which there is going to be stress.
Yeah.
But it's really looking at it going, and what is this stress teaching me? Right. And really learning from that. And, and having the stress management tools that you need then to help yourself so that you can have a clear head and make the right decisions that you need. You mentioned perfectionism at one point, and, that's one of my stress personalities that I talk about is perfectionism, because that can be stressful if we're not using, right? There's times we need to be excellent. There's times that, yes, we want to make sure that there's not mistakes. So I just found out that an email went out that it had some mistakes in it. You know what? I can't. It's over. It's done with. Learn the lesson, move on. Next time, read it a fifth time.
Yeah.
Maybe 4 times wasn't enough, right? But instead of staying stuck in that, just recognize that, I'm in perfectionism. And how can I step back and look at that? Yeah.
And usually when we're in perfectionism, we think that we're going to be judged by other perfectionists.
Yep.
We're in that, whereas we're like, you know what, like a mistake happened. Okay. Like we can fix it. Let's move on. And then for like the people that are understanding and flexible, they'll understand and be flexible.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. That's great. I just think you're the greatest, and
thank you.
Have really enjoyed just watching you thrive in your business and in your personal life as well. So where can my listeners get a hold of you after this podcast? What's the best place to reach you?
Yeah, so you can find me on LinkedIn under my name, Celia Faye Meisel. I'm very active on LinkedIn, so you can connect with me there. Also on my website, celiafaymeisel.com. I have a free gift there, 3 things that you can do to increase your sales without spending more on ads.
Perfect.
And I also have a sales growth strategy call if you think you would want to have a conversation. If anything that we talked about today intrigued you and you're like, ooh, I want Celia to take a look at my business, that's also an option as well.
Perfect. And I will put all of that in the show notes so everyone can, find you easily. And I encourage all my listeners to take advantage of those offers that you just said. 1 about the lead magnet, and then 2 about the strategy call. So I think that's great. So thank you for offering that.
Yes.
And I just appreciate our conversation. I feel like honestly, we could talk for another 15 minutes, but we're going to go ahead and wrap it up.
Yes.
So listeners, thank you. Please, as you listen to this, share it with someone who also needs to hear the message in here, or anyone that that is really ready to accelerate and find out about the MORE method from Celia. I invite you to share that with them as well. And thank you again, Celia.
Yeah, thanks for the amazing conversation, Kelly. It was fun.
Yep. And listeners, we'll be back for another episode of Winning in Business next week. And until then, rise up and live.
Thank you for being a part of the Winning in Business podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode and want to rise up to your next level of success, but are worried about increased stress, time for work and yourself and your family, not to mention being exhausted, I'd like to invite you to a complimentary strategy call where I'll show you how you can do it all. I'll help you reclaim time, keep your sanity, handle the chaos with ease, and move to the next level of success that you deserve and desire. I hope you found value in listening today. Please always leave your comments, feedback, or questions. We check them all. I want you to continue winning in business and reach your next level of success. See you next time.